That's a great point, and that's an analogy that, of course, you can use from your background experiences. Is do we sometimes as leaders, get too impatient, and we have to recognize that it is simply one step at a time, or it's simply one bale at a time, or it's we have to manage 1 minute at a time, one person at a time? Do we get lost in the scope and forget to realize it's much more manageable if we can just think in terms of one at a time?
I don't think nothing's ever accomplished in a grandiose style. It isn't broke down into components that are usable, and people who never put up hay don't understand the exhaustion of handling that many bales. And you feel you can't, but you really can. And if you didn't get 3,000 bales up that day, let's say you only got 2,000. There's 2,000 that are secured and undercover, and the others are left out there. But you've done pretty well.
One
bale at a time. Yeah.
And that's the real key, isn't it? When we get overwhelmed and when we look.
And that's truth. That's truth. Most tasks we have. Most tasks we have are a lot of components, and we deal with that component and move to the next one. Move to the next one. And it's doable if you understand the one and move to the other. I think a poor manager, or poor leader in any kind of, is a person who gives directions, and if you're smart enough, you can figure it out. Well, usually you're smart enough to realize this guy doesn't know what he's doing either. He's just hoping you can get it done right. And that doesn't give you a lot of confidence in the person you're taking direction from.
Right.
And I could get real excited about a kid who's used to failing. Like I had kids who'd failed a history class a couple times, where they come in my room sometimes, and they think they're not any good at it. And the truth of the matter is that they're better than they know. And positive response is so much more valuable than negative. It's always better than negative. That doesn't mean you can't have a component of negative responses. Those usually are reserved for the person who not only won't put forth the effort, but he may be sabotaging the approach. Then there's room for, yes, I do have this ugly side to me, but I don't go there easily. But I do have it as an option. And a lot of times people who don't produce think they can't, so they sabotage the effort, or they make an excuse. Well, I hate that, so I couldn't do it, or I never can do this. And I don't care what you do in life. You may not get it all. I mean, certain things you're more skilled at than others. There's no question. But you can become better in those areas that you're not good at, if you're willing to address it.
It sounds as though a lot of what you're describing is you taking on the responsibility to being a leader for these individuals that you've identified need some extra leadership. And you actually become, in a way, you become their coach, or you become their mentor in helping them succeed to the level you've identified. What is it about you that has attracted you towards being a coach or a mentor to these individuals?
Actually, I became a teacher by accident. I was dairy farming, and I taught at the same time. And it became very clear to me with the amount of land I had that at best I wasn't going to bring on a big production of money, and I prepared to be a teacher. And as I by the second year of teaching, I knew I had to make a decision. I'm either this or I'm that. And I think I was born to be a teacher. I think that was where, and I didn't know that. I didn't know that till I did it, I guess. And I saw it when I went in teaching as a temporary step. And instead, I still farm, but it's totally a secondary issue to what my teaching became to me.
It sounds like what your purpose was to be a teacher, and then you were able to also then do some of these other things on the side. But it sounds like you you discovered within you that you were attracted to, and you liked being a teacher, and you liked making a difference. You liked being a positive mentor to those who needed a little boost.
Yeah, and it's also, I don't want to make myself sound that I was a super competent teacher. I think for some kids I was just what they needed. And for some kids they didn't really need me, and they were going to succeed without me or with me. They know. But most people at some time or another need someone who can they can non-threateningly sit with and figure out how to deal with something they have always struggled with. And
it's interesting. They and I'm putting words in your mouth, so agree or disagree with me on this. But they want to succeed, but they want to be able to look to somebody who is non-threatening, somebody who's non-judgmental, to be their mentor.
Yeah.
Is that a fair statement?
And I think not only that, I think that most of us are in a place. We are not born perfection throughout, and we don't live perfection throughout. We have areas that we always have to compensate in life with to cover weaknesses. But in most jobs, a person has that they're really devoted to. They have areas where they're really good at, and they have areas that they put up with, and they need those areas they got to not ignore. They got to deal with those things. They can't ignore them. They can improve in those areas.
Let's talk about let's talk as we move past conventional learning that we traditionally see in our systems, and talk about the importance of ongoing learning as adults, and the importance of continuing to invest in our own success. What are your thoughts regarding the responsibility we have to ourselves to continue to learn, to continue to grow, to continue to be the best at whatever our responsibilities are?
I first of all, life loses a lot of interest if you quit learning. You lose a lot of forward momentum. And that's sad if a person's quitting at 16. And some do. It's not even pretty when you're at 80 and you're quitting. And I have a friend who, 95 years old, who decided she was going to go out and buy a computer. Not because she felt she was going to do anything in a computer, but she hated the idea that people knew what they were doing in another area than what she was able to function in. So she was going to resolve that problem.
You're saying that there is people put an attractiveness quality to others who are learners.
Yeah.
You're actually saying people recognize that attitude, they recognize that interest that a person would have, and they are attracted to it.
Yeah, I think that if I have someone pull alongside me in areas that I have difficulty in, they're not going to judge me by it. They're just going to say, "Oh yeah, you're struggling. Look here, let's try it this way." And we're going to do a few things like that help you through that process. That I think that you're in a less threatening position in a world that seems to lift up money, intelligence, good looks, athletic ability. We're not all going to make it in all those areas. It would be nice to be functional in most of those areas to some extent, so we aren't totally ignorant in an area. And if you come across someone who's willing to share what they have, effectively, we're all products of people who shared with us.